Valley Talk on News Talk 1580 KGAL.
Welcome to Valley Talk. I'm Dave Adams. Glad to have you with us today. And it is another beautiful, bright, sunshiny day here in the Mid-Willamette Valley. Glad you are with us on this Thursday, the 28th of March. And we've got an interesting show for you today. We also have some more golf passes to give away. In fact, as we turn the page here, we have 18 holes of adult golfing. We have 2 certificates to Golf Club of Oregon, 905 Northwest Spring Hill Drive in Albany. 18 holes, adult golfing certificate. Good for the first 2 people that send me an email at dave@kgal.com. Hopefully you. Also, we're giving away a Quiznos certificate, $10 certificate for Albany Quiznos, right next to Novak's Restaurant and across the parking lot from the former G.I. Joe Sporting Goods location. Thanks to Dale and the crew for being a part of the Valley Talk family here on KGAL. I'm Dave Adams. Glad to have you with us today. What we're going to be talking about on the show, first off, we are going to be talking to Clem Ellen, who is with the Attorney General's Office, Department of Justice. There's 2 scams out there you need to be aware of, basically involving impersonating police officers on the phone. So if you get somebody calling on the phone saying that they're interested in talking to you about counterfeiting, and there's another one as well, you might want to check into that. We'll talk to Clem about that in just a moment. We also this morning talked to Albany Mayor Sharon Canopa about the ongoing battle about defining debt. The Tom Cordier measures that passed or were proposed by the group headed by Tom Cordier puts a restriction on the city of Albany that in order for the city to incur new debt has to have voter approval. Well, defining the word debt is one of the issues that they're having a problem with, and we'll talk to Sharon about that. Third part of the show, which will start about 18 minutes after the hour, Gary Price and Brian Schiedler with us in the studios today from the Linn Benton Community College Advanced Transportation Technology Center. Very interesting program that they've got going on there in the future of transportation. Fuels, for one thing. And so we're going to be talking about advanced transportation and how LBCC, Linn Benton Community College, is getting involved in that. So that's what's coming up on Valley Talk today. First of all, let's go to the phone and talk to Clem Ellen, Department of Justice, Attorney General's Office. Clem, glad to have you with us on Valley Talk.
Thanks for having me.
Let's talk about the scams. What's going on? People are calling up impersonating police officers?
They are, and it's pretty unfortunate, and they're getting a lot of traction with these 2 scams, and unfortunately they're taking a lot of money from people that are falling victim to them. So I'm happy that you're taking the time to let your listeners know about these scams, because they're pretty awful.
So when's a counterfeiting and when's an unpaid traffic scam? Let's start with the counterfeiting con. What's going on?
Sure. So in that scam, victims are getting a call from the perpetrator, and the scam artist is telling them that they're an officer or a detective with the Oregon State Police or Multnomah County Sheriff or Portland Police or whatever agency, and they're telling these victims that they are investigating their bank for a counterfeiting ring, and that there's a bank employee or a bank manager who they believe is counterfeiting money. And the police really need their help to catch these guys. And so the police impersonators are asking these folks how much money they have in their bank account, and then they're telling these victims to go to the bank and withdraw all of those monies and hand them over to the police so the bills can be inspected. And of course, when they do that, the supposed police officer is never heard from again, off with their hard-earned cash. So pretty awful scam. A couple of victims up here in Multnomah County that we know about, but we believe that it's happening in other places and that people are losing a lot of money to this scam, and we really need it to stop.
You say a lot of money. Could you tell us the money is involved here, the amount?
We have 2 cases where older women lost more than $25,000 each.
Ouch.
Yeah, pretty awful. So what we're telling folks is we've talked to the Oregon State Police, we've talked to Multnomah County, we've talked to Portland Police, and they tell us that this is something they would never do. They would never call a citizen and ask the citizen to help them in this kind of sting operation. They would never use a citizen's real hard-earned money to try to catch these folks. So if you get a call like this and you want to help, you should hang up the phone and then call your local police or your state police and ask them, is this true? Do you really need my help to do this?
So how do they hand the money over to the perpetrator? Is there a guy with a suit there in the bank and they just hand him $25,000 and he turns and runs? How does that work?
Well, in the two cases that we know about, the women went back to their homes and they were approached several minutes after they had re-entered their home with the money, and there was a knock at the door and a gentleman flashed a supposed police badge and they handed the money over to him.
And then the gentleman said, "Thank you very much, we'll bring your cash back," and then that's the last they heard of it, right?
Yeah, of course, they promise in every scenario that they will redeposit the funds, and of course that never happens. But we also have reports over the years, this is not a new scam, we also have reports over the years of con artists actually standing outside the brick and mortar bank and approaching consumers as they come out of the bank after making a transaction and saying and letting them know, hey, we need you to go back in and take out more money. We're the police. We've got this bank under surveillance. So it can happen two ways. It can happen through a phone call or it can happen in person in front of your bank. So you should be on the alert for both.
So the advice to consumers is this is not how the police operate, correct?
Exactly. Police don't need your help to catch these types of crooks. And you should be very cautious if you get a call like this or are approached on the street by somebody who claims they're a police officer and does need your help.
Because the police do not need you to act as an undercover officer. They have their own undercover officers. Thank you very much.
Exactly. But what's tricky about this scam is we all want to believe the police and we all want to help them. So these con artists are taking advantage of that. It's unfortunate.
Very unfortunate. Let's talk about the unpaid traffic scam. How does that work?
That one's a little bit more successful because the amount of money that they're asking for is not your entire life savings, and it's plausible that as you go about your day, you may have forgotten an unpaid parking or speeding ticket. So they're having a little more success with this scam. In this scam, a pre-recorded call is placed to your home phone or your cell phone. Typically starts with a siren, and then there's a recorded message from a deputy or an officer informing you that you have a unpaid speeding ticket for $154 on I-205 and instructing you to purchase a prepaid debit card and then call another number to pay. So there's kind of complex instructions that should tip a lot of folks off right away that this is a scam. And we reached out to Oregon State Police, other local police departments, and they tell us that, again, this is something they would never do. They would never call a citizen directly to tell them that they have an unpaid parking or speeding ticket, and they would never threaten a warrant is out for your arrest for an unpaid ticket of this kind over the phone, which is what these scammers are doing. They're saying, if you don't pay this, we're going to put a warrant out for your arrest, or there already is a warrant out for your arrest, so there are some threats with this prepaid call. So we're urging people to just hang up, don't press anything, don't try to, pay, definitely don't try to pay the money, just hang up the phone, and if there is a slight chance, if you think, oh gosh, I may have an unpaid ticket, just call your local police, call your state police, and ask them. Don't rely on any messages that come to your phone that say you owe this type of money.
So especially the gals that lost the $25,000 or the older citizens that lost $25,000 in the counterfeiting scam, how likely are they to get the money back?
In those cases, it really depends on the circumstances. It depends on how quickly they call and report it. Depends on, what information they have about the perpetrator. I mean, they're really fact specific. But unfortunately, in a lot of these cases, these scammers are really good, and they're quickly moving on to the next scam, the next city, the next town, and they're long gone. So it's pretty unfortunate.
Are we noticing these types of scams are increasing with the downturn in the economy?
We're seeing some increase in scams with the economy, some new scams that are popping up, trying to capitalize on the fact that people may be looking for a get-rich-quick scheme in this economy. So we are seeing that, and with the increase in the number of older Oregonians, we're seeing that as well. So it's really important to stay alert, be informed, and trust your instincts.
Clem Ellen with the Oregon Department of Justice Attorney General's Office. Keep us in the loop. We got your email and called you about to find out information about these. Please contact us as more of these come up so we can alert people. And I do thank you for your time.
Definitely. Thanks so much for yours. Have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
This is Valley Talk, KGAL, and next we're going to go to the second interview. We talked with the mayor of the city of Albany about the debt limitation measure. Here's how that interview went about an hour ago. On the phone line with us right now is Sharon Canopa, mayor of the city of Albany. Thank you for being with us on Valley Talk today.
Thank you. Thank you, Dave.
Regards to the term debt, the measures that were proposed by the group that was spearheaded by Tom Cordier to limit debt that the city can incur. There seems to be an issue defining that term of debt. Where are we after last night's city council meeting?
It looks like we have some more direction over defining it. We could not get a clear definition of debt prior to the election because it would have cost us money for bond counsel to make that determination. And the council said, let's hold off on spending money until we know if the measure passes. That's where we're at with the process right now, is our bond counsel, which is on the City of Albany's website, videotape from last night's meeting. It'll be on several times on Comcast Channel 28, and you can be able to see the overall definition of what bond counsel is stating, the limitations we have over debt. A lot of the smaller debt is what's not really defined, and as city councilors, we can be personally liable if anybody challenges that. So we need to make sure if this measure gets put into the charter, there's no changing it without going out for another charter amendment. So the council is looking at what options to move forward on with the measure.
One of the options would be the council to define it and put it out to a vote of the people?
That would be one option, yes.
What about just using the city ordinance and the city code? The Tom Cordier group went to the city and said, how about setting up a committee to work with us, use your city ordinances to simply define the word statutorily, the word debt?
And he's incorrect on that you cannot put anything in our code or ordinance if this measure is put into the charter. The charter will override any code or ordinance. City council has no say over the charter. So once it would be placed in there, every single word for word in the charter you have to abide by. It's just like the state constitution overrides all other bills within the state, in state laws.
So where does this leave the city now as incurring debt? Can you go out and buy a box of paper clips? What's going on here?
Right now, our city attorney will be getting a lot of that defined, trying to be able to make sure there's wording in there that is going to kind of protect us on that. So everything right now is we're going about usual business, but we're pretty much having to be kind of on hold on anything. But we need to, until we can get this totally clarified up.
Sharon, there is the accusation that the city is dragging their feet on defining the word of debt in order to take this to court, to add the validity to the argument that the word debt is vague, and thus trying to get the original measures passed by voters thrown out. What would you say to that allegation?
Actually, and it's not true. It's like I had stated, is that we didn't want to spend money for bond counsel to get the definition prior to the election without knowing that it's passed. So right now, it's only been 2 weeks, and we're going through the process to be able to see how are we going to be able to deal with this debt term. But there's also, bond counsel said, the way it is written up is the electors would end up being that supermajority. So we need to also get that clarified up, and if we come out for a new ballot measure. So, but if we put it in our charter, this measure as written, we publicly came out and stated on the opposition side that it wasn't constitutional. And so if people get upset that it's not being immediately placed into our charter, they were warned ahead of time. So every single voter in the city of Albany was notified about that within the campaign literature, that it wasn't constitutional. So we've been totally upfront with it. the proponents of the measure were in disagreement, but we've been totally upfront from day one.
Where do you think this is going to wind up? Is this going to wind up in litigation?
I don't know right now. So I really can't say. We're going through that process. The council hasn't made a solid decision yet, and that was an executive session.
Okay. Talking to Mayor Sharon Canopa, Mayor of the City of Albany, here on Valley Talk. Sharon, thank you for being with us today.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dave.
And moving right along with the show, live in the studios today, we have Gary Price and Brian Schiedler with Linn Benton Community College Advanced Transportation Technology Center. There was a presentation they made to a Chamber of Commerce function here in Albany. Very impressive. Gary and Brian, thank you for being with us on Valley Talk today.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Talk to us about the Advanced Transportation Technology Center. What are we doing here?
Well, this is, I'll go ahead and start. I mean, it's kind of, I'm not quite sure where to start. We've been working on this project for about 5 years. Basically, the notion was we have at the college an auto technology program and a heavy equipment diesel program that we felt like needed, the time had come to update it and modernize it. And then with Brian's input about 5 years ago as department chair in the auto tech program, we started seeing that on the horizon was advancements in propulsion systems for cars and trucks. And that if we were going to update and modernize, that we had to incorporate this notion of preparing our maintenance and repair technicians to work on not just regular gas and diesel propelled vehicles, but, the electrics and the compressed natural gas and the hydrogen and the propane and other alternate fuels that are being developed and widely available in the marketplace.
How do we train individuals for technology that it doesn't, in some ways, exist yet?
Well, the technologies that we're talking about, they do exist, and they are available in the marketplace. You can buy cars and trucks that run on propane, and original equipment manufacturers run on propane and compressed natural gas and liquid natural gas today. They just haven't proliferated much because there is a lack in a couple of areas. One is the infrastructure to get the fueling, and the niche that we're trying to fill and the void that we're trying to fill is the maintenance and repair technicians that give the consumer confidence that if they have one of these types of vehicles, there's somebody around who can fix it for them.
How popular is this? Brian Schiedler, your department head chair on this program, right?
Correct.
How popular is this with the students?
The students are really, really interested in this. It's kind of where the future is leading them. And so a lot of them, in fact, they're volunteering their time to help with a few projects right now that we're working on. We're currently building an electric car, and some of our first conversions, they're very interested to get started on. So they're going to be volunteering their afternoon time to actually help with one. So
one of the things I learned a lot about at this presentation with the Chamber of Commerce was CNG, compressed natural gas. As far as battery technology, batteries don't exist that are big enough or old enough charge for the large semi-trucks, for the freight trucks. But CNG is an option there, is that correct?
Well, they do make batteries that could power a semi-truck. However, they're very, very expensive. You're talking over $50,000 to get a truck that size, probably about 90 miles.
So economically not feasible.
Correct. And that's where you start looking at compressed natural gas as an alternative for that. And of the public stations in Oregon right now, I think they're all right around $1.50 a gallon for it. And so you start looking at the price of diesel fuel and comparing there, and you can see there's some savings to be had, especially with trucks that get 100,000 miles a year or more.
You might be talking to a fleet owner that's listening to the broadcast there, and they like that price at $1.50 a gallon.
Oh yeah, and that the economics is what I believe is going to be driving this. It's not the only benefit that we'll actually get from these alternate fuels. It's also much better for the environment, and so I think this is one of those rare things where it's a win-win situation.
It's a cleaner fuel, so there's not as much maintenance. The oil is cleaner, right? Don't have to change it as often. Not as many contaminants in the engine, correct?
Correct.
CNG. When you guys were talking about CNG the other day, you were pretty excited about it.
Yeah. We've got a lot of interest in it, let's put it that way. The fact that it's an American fuel is also another big thing for us.
Now, we're talking about American fuel. There's a lot of natural gas under the surface here in the United States.
Correct.
is what you mean by saying an American
Right.
fuel.
You know, and since the early 70s, you can go back and start looking where presidents would talk about their energy speeches and say, you know, our dependence on foreign oil has to come to an end. And so we actually have the ability to start doing that. We just have to start tapping into those resources.
How hard is it to convert an existing diesel fuel truck to CNG, compressed natural gas?
Well, there's several different ways, and we need to talk about different types of systems. And so they do have dedicated systems, which means it would only run on CNG. And they do make kits that are EPA approved to do that on certain vehicles at certain years. And the EPA has quite a complex set of rules that kind of guide how this happens. So you have a dedicated fuel. You also have one known as dual fuel. And I think that first you're going to see a lot more of these dual fuel systems, which actually uses diesel as a pilot oil. CNG is very hard to get ignited, and so they actually use the diesel fuel to fire off the CNG, and you can displace up to about 80% of the diesel with CNG. And so the computers take care of it automatically, basically, on a semi-truck. Cost range is somewhere probably around $30,000 for one of these retrofits, but obviously the economic benefit from paying $3.60 something a gallon for diesel and $1.50 when it's available for the CNG is the major benefit. And the other thing about that is you can still run on straight diesel. You're just paying a higher cost per mile.
Obviously, it depends on how many miles you put your truck through, but what for a typical operator? I know it's hard to define typical operator. What's the payback?
The return on investments can be less than a year, depending on, again, what kind of fuel mileage they're getting out of that specific vehicle and the miles driven.
Do you guys do the retrofits at LBCC?
We're going to be doing some demonstration ones, yes.
Really? Are people lining up at your door yet?
They're asking lots of questions. We got to remember that we're still in a development phase. I mean, we've purchased property in Lebanon. It has a building. We're in the design phase right now of getting, this is a 3-phase project. So, we're doing a lot of talking to industry partners. There's a lot of interest in what we're doing. People are very interested in our capability to do things like convert engines to existing diesel engines to compressed natural gas or dual fuel. We're not really ready to do that yet because we don't have our facility up and running with all the equipment in it. But, Brian and I have been spending a lot of time doing designs on the new building, and we're getting very close to getting the bid packages out to do the remodel on that phase 1 of our building out there in Lebanon.
Talking to Gary Price and Brian Schiedler with the Linn Benton Community College Advanced Transportation Technology Center here on Valley Talk. We'll have more conversation with them in just a moment. Don't forget, we are giving away 2 18-hole adult golfing certificates to Golf Club of Oregon on Spring Hill Drive in Albany. 2. So send me an email, dave@kgal.com, or call the station, 451-KGAL or 926-KGAL. Also, don't forget, we are giving away a $10 gift certificate for Albany Quiznos, right next to Novak's Restaurant and across the parking lot from the old G.I. Joe Sporting Goods location. $10 certificate. At the end of the show today, we'll draw a name out of the hat. That person gets to eat lunch on us. The taste in us is on us, thanks to Dale and the crew at Quiznos in Albany for being a part of the Valley Talk family. And we'll be back on KGAL's Valley Talk in just a moment.
Going out to lunch at a nice restaurant can be expensive, and the big portions put you more in the mood for a nap than a productive afternoon. Mama's Fine Italian to the rescue. The small appetite senior menu is just right. Anyone and everyone is invited to order from the Light Appetites menu for lunch from 11 to 4 p.m. with tasty entrees beginning at only $3.95. Why go hungry or go anywhere else for lunch? Eat healthy, eat light at Mama's. Closed Sunday and Monday, so make the most of Tuesday through Friday and join your friends at Mama's for lunch. Dinner only on Saturday. Mama's features charbroiled steaks every day. Make reservations for dinner or pick up a bottle of fine wine. Seating is limited, so please call for reservations. 541-451-5050. That's 451-5050. Mama's Fine Italian and Wine Shop on West Oak between Main and 2nd in Lebanon, across from the Big Blue Napa Auto Parts Building.
Corvallis Independent Business Alliance encourages you to support your community.
Chenard's Nursery Florist and Landscaping has 29 years of experience serving the Willamette Valley. Chenard's Nursery now has their best selection of the year of fruit, trees, berries, and perennial vegetables. View Chenard's list of spring classes online. Call Chenard's for your spring planting needs. 541-929-3524.
Time to reproof your rain gear at the Rain Shed. Do it yourself with help from the experts at the Rain Shed Outdoor Fabrics and Supplies. Patterns, fabrics, insulation, hardware, zippers, new creations, buttons, webbing, notions, elastic. Be inspired. It's all fantastic. Online at therainshed.com. Call 753-8900.
Special occasions, parties, and events locally owned since 1986 for weddings, banquets, birthdays, reunions, and corporate events. Special Occasions offers a wide variety of party rental and retail supplies for any event, large or small. Online at onestoppartyshop.net. Call now, 541-752-7255, 1435 Northwest 9th Street in Corvallis.
Thank you for supporting locally owned independent businesses.
Is the boing into your seat, sending you through the roof? Then see the ASC certified technicians at Kingsbury Automotive. You'll get peace of mind and competitive pricing with every expert repair. In Lebanon, call 541-258-2240 for Kingsbury Automotive.
Everything for your car and truck. Expert repairs you can trust. Expert repairs you can trust.
258-2240 for Kingsbury Automotive.
If you're looking for a place to network with employers and set the stage for a rewarding career in the future, then this is the event for you. It's the LBCC Career Fair, Thursday, April 11th. Explore career opportunities with some of the region's top employers. Learn about LBCC programs and training opportunities. Visit with agencies that provide services to job seekers and attend free workshops to enhance your job search. If you're searching for a job or looking to move up in the workforce, don't miss the annual LBCC Career Fair on Thursday, April 11th.
Want to really know more? Just point, click, and learn from the Mid-Valley's best website, KGAL.com.
Valley Talk, we're talking about the future Advanced Transportation Technology Center being developed at Linn Benton Community College. In the studio today with us is Gary Price and Brian Cheadler. Thank you for being with us on the program today. So as you're taking the existing technologies program for auto and truck mechanics and upgrading it, so to speak, to allow you to train mechanics for the future fuels, how unique is the program at Linn Benton Community College? Are they these kind of training facilities sprouting up all over the place? What's the nearest one to here?
We are probably the one in our local area. The closest ones around, we probably would have to go up around Seattle and down around the Bay Area to find something that would compare to what we're doing.
So this is pretty much cutting edge.
Yes.
Do you feel like this could be a very main program at Linn Benton Community College as this grows and as you're one of the few facilities, like you're mentioning, San Francisco is the closest?
Yeah, I think it is, Dave, because, what we are able to do is make an investment in, the risk for us, is not very great, because all we're really doing is upgrading and enhancing a program that we already have. We're not abandoning our primary mission of training maintenance and repair technicians, for gas and diesel powered vehicles. But this idea of expanding into the cutting edge and the leading edge of propulsion systems that are going to be out there, our technicians are going to receive the most advanced training that the industry has to offer. So there's going to be more demand for what we're doing.
What kind of facilities are you needing to build? Are they tanks? Are they service bays? What are you looking at?
Well, the facilities are controlled by, obviously, National Fire Code. And so they do have special regulations on what we can and can't do and how many times the air has to be, turned over in the building. And that all that changes. There has to be methane detection systems that, a lot of these fuels, you cannot smell them. You can smell, obviously, the additive they put in there, the mercaptan. But other than that, they're odorless. And so if you had a leak inside of a building and CNG is actually lighter than air, it goes up, it's going to collect along the top side of the building. And so, we used to worry about gas fumes and propane, they go down. So typically your bottom 18 inches in a shop where what they controlled was stringent guidelines of where your electrical connections are. Now we have to worry about the ceiling also. So obviously that upper area is where they're going to concentrate for your CNG. LNG, anytime you're dealing with something that's cryogenic, obviously we have other concerns there also. But we're not currently going to have LNG in our facility, so it's a little harder to come by.
But our alternate fuels lab will have some special construction considerations that have to be taken into consideration.
So where are we in the progress of going forward and getting this thing fired up and going? Are we building? We're design? Where are we?
So for the listeners, just to recap, we've purchased the old Pace property off of Oak Street in Lebanon. It's a 35,000 square foot building. We have been designing the remodel of that for our auto technology program. We're within weeks away from being the final designs on that, and designing all the built-in tooling and stuff that we're partnering with Snap-on Corporation to help us with. So we expect to be building or actually remodeling on that what we're called Building A in our plans by this summer. But the heavy equipment diesel building is really another year and a half out to be built. It's phase 2 or 3, depending on how you want to talk about the project.
So when's it going to be done, do you think?
Well, our plan right now is to have our auto techs taking classes next fall, and our heavy equipment diesel techs to be taking classes at the site the following fall, which would be fall of 2014.
So as word about this gets out, where are you getting queries from students, prospective students? Here to Oregon, outside the state?
Well, we've already had students. We used to get a lot of students from Alaska, believe it or not, and so we've had quite a number of students coming in, and I don't think this is really too public yet. We've had a lot of inquiries, and we've had a 2-year wait list for a while now, and so I think it's going to get a little bit more interest a little bit further out. I'm not sure exactly how far out we're going to get. I think a lot of that just depends on once our students start getting placed into other areas and talking with others outside of our local Mid-Willamette Valley. I'm sure that'll increase.
Are there any training facilities such as this? And you mentioned that San Francisco was the closest one. Is there any in the Portland area? No.
I think it's important to note that some community colleges are experimenting on a small scale with alternate fuels. I think the difference what we're doing is the scope and our building our capacity to train our own students and incumbent workers on the whole spectrum of alternate fuels. So, I think it's important to note that these other community colleges, they maybe have a program where they're talking about battery-powered vehicles and electrics, or maybe they have some modules on CNG. But we're building a capacity to really do it all.
So are you going to have a repair facility there? Let's say you get it up and running. When you get it up and running, let's say a fleet operator has 20 trucks, and they want to convert all their 20 trucks to either CNG or propane. Can they just bring them down to LBCC and you do it, or is that something you're going to get into?
Well, 20 would be probably press the envelope of our capacity.
How about 10?
Right now. But yeah, our intent is to have our students be able to do this kind of work. So that when they go out into the world, they are not only maintenance and repair technicians, but they also have another skill of doing conversions of diesel-powered engines into either dual fuel or CNG systems.
So our primary function is to train others to do it. So we will do some retrofits, but the idea is that incumbent workers will come in from shops in our local area. They'll come through, they'll do their first one with our guidance because we've been trained to do this, and then they will be able to service those providers.
I'm glad you pointed that out. My question was going to be, doesn't this put you into competition with local shops?
And that really isn't the intent.
Okay.
But you have to get into the business a little bit to train your own people.
How much is this going to cost for the Linn Benton Community College Advanced Transportation Technology Center? Where's the money coming from?
The money right now is all private. When we've been, like I said, we've been working on this project for 5 years, and our administration has from the beginning said we like what you're doing. We're in a shrinking revenue environment. We can't invest general fund state dollars. So to date, all the revenue it's all private money to date.
Snap-on? Snap-on's a big contributor.
Yeah.
Every time I see Brian, he has a Snap-on shirt.
Yeah. Talk about Snap-on, Brian.
So Snap-on's been our corporate sponsor for 5-6 years now, and so we've worked exclusively with them. And it actually was Snap-on who kept talking about propulsion systems that actually finally got someone in the college to say, wait a second, I heard you use that statement 3 or 4 times now. Why aren't you saying, gas or diesel? And so they explained about propulsion and where things are headed in the industry.
So it's being called propulsion systems.
Yes.
Very high-tech, very state-of-the-art term.
Yes.
Interesting. We'll continue on Valley Talk here with the program, which we talked with Gary Price and Brian Cheadler, LBCC Advanced Transportation Technology Center. The question I had for them a moment ago, which we'll address when we come back, which is better, CNG or propane? I guess there's a difference, and some applications, one's better than the other. We'll talk about that and more on Valley Talk in just a moment.
The Osgood File, sponsored by Barbasol. Lather up with thick and rich Barbasol shaving cream and shave like a man. Close Shave America, Close Shave Barbasol. This is Dave Ross on the CBS Radio Network. My grandfather gave me a ukulele once. Don't worry, I'm not going to play it. Although, just happen to have it right here. Tiptoe through the tree. Ukulele's gotten a bum rap, and you can see why. But when you put a bunch of them together in the hands of some really talented musicians, you'll hear the Ukulele Orchestra of Great Britain.
It's not quite like any orchestra you may have seen.
After this from Charlie.
One challenge that businesses have to face every day is the U word, uncertainty. You can't afford to be uncertain about your office space. That's why a Regis office makes sense. Like the one I visited in New York City. Your beautifully furnished, wired Regis office can be ready when you need it. It includes a receptionist, access to meeting rooms, and state-of-the-art video conferencing, all with no long-term lease. Call 1-800-OFFICES and get 2 months free when you mention Osgood. That's 1-800-OFFICES. When it comes to your business, forecasting cash flow can be one of your biggest challenges. Sage offers integrated online and on-premises accounting and payment solutions that provide simple, affordable ways to forecast cash flow, predict operating capital needs, and streamline billing and invoicing for faster payments. The result is better business decisions that get you closer to achieving your ambitions. Grow your business with confidence. Grow your business with Sage. Learn how Sage is helping businesses like yours manage their cash flow at sagetoday.com.
The Ukulele Orchestra of Great Britain is an 8-member orchestra that got its start when George Hinchcliffe presented Kitty Lux with a gift.
George once bought me a ukulele, and then we didn't look back.
George is now the orchestra's director, and he sat down with CBS's Charlie Daggett.
A few minutes in his company, and it becomes clear there's more to the ukulele orchestra than just laughs. What would you say to the words novelty act?
In the current climate of celebrity overload and exploitation of what one might call slight talents, I think there's almost nothing that isn't a novelty act. You've got to have some thing, the sizzle and the sausage and all that stuff.
Ultimately, there's a kind of magic in hearing music performed so well on instruments that seem so completely unsuitable.
Listen to me when I say I'm beautiful in my way. Nature makes no mistakes.
I knew I was keeping this thing for a reason. The Osgood File, Dave Ross on the CBS Radio Network.
Are you thinking about getting new windows but aren't excited about spending 3 to 4 hours with a pushy salesperson from out of town? Hi, this is Brian at Smith Glass. We offer double and triple pane windows with a lifetime warranty for much less than those Portland or Seattle guys. Plus, we're your neighbors. Our salespeople are friendly and helpful. Visit us today on Southwest 3rd in Corvallis or at the foot of the Line Street Bridge in Albany or on the web at smith-glass.com.
On the cutting edge since 1945. Smith Glass Service.
Ah, the sound of small business, getting busier. Can you tell which one is using AT&T? Truth is, they all are, because businesses of all kinds can find AT&T customizable plans that fit their exact needs. Whether it's broadband, mobility, or nationwide voice, at AT&T, we can help your business get humming.
I need more receipt paper, please.
Call 1-855-877-4288 today and ask about special offers available for new small business packages. AT&T, rethink possible.
Never play leapfrog with a unicorn. Never run with scissors unless you're a tardy barber. Never wear a fanny pack. No, really, don't ever wear a fanny pack. And never trust a car that hasn't been trusted to Midas. Save on brakes, maintenance, and total car care for a car you can depend on long after the warranty expires. You deserve the Midas touch. Get a comprehensive oil change, tire rotation, and visual brake check for $19.99. Up to 5 quarts conventional oil, shop fees extra. Most vehicles at participating Midas.
Valley Talk, weekday mornings on News Talk 1580 KGAL.
Oh, the future of fuels. That's what we're talking about today. LBCC working on an advanced transportation technology center. We have in the studios today Gary Price, Brian Schiedler. Question we asked before the break, which is better? I guess it used to be Ford and Chevy. Now we're talking about what's better. Or what's the trucks? International and...
So you got International, Kenworth, Freightliner.
Okay, all right. CNG or propane?
Well...
What's better?
When you start talking about what alternate fuel is better, it actually is going to vary a little bit into what kind of class you're talking about. For the average commuter, I would think that an electric vehicle makes a lot more sense than even propane and CNG. So when you start looking at a lot of the light duty stuff, I think you're going to see a big push for electric vehicles, and they make sense for a lot of various reasons. And economically, when you start talking less than a penny a mile, as far as getting there for the electricity that we have abundantly here, you're going to see a lot in that arena. When you start talking about being able to tow or, the range anxiety that people can get from, I've got an electric vehicle, well, I can only go 100 and some miles. And that's where you see vehicles like the Chevy Volt with the range extender built in. And there's a lot of work on range extenders. In fact, some of the companies, we've got some advanced equipment coming. And we do have some partnerships that we're creating with outside entities to help them further their development of their products. And
what's a range extender?
A range extender, let's say the vehicle on electric power can go 40 miles. Well, you can add this unit to their existing electric vehicle and go 80 or 100 miles with it. And so there's various styles that, you get into a lot of a range extender could be nothing more than a gas-powered generator or a propane-powered generator on board. You have some way of extending that life of that electric motor, so the vehicle's power is from an electric source. We have to put power back into the battery somehow.
So you might have an onboard generator.
Correct.
Okay.
Others are generating the electricity in other means. Maybe you have some kind of a wind they're trying to get with, or utilize off the vehicle. And there's a lot of entrepreneurs that are trying various things.
I've got a question on that. Let's talk about a range extender. How about hooking a generator to the drivetrain of the vehicle, so as you're running down the road, you're spinning a generator that's putting the energy back into the battery while you're taking it out?
That's some of the things that people are trying. Obviously, you start doing that, there is some rolling resistance to that. And so that's the key. You're going to see a lot talked about efficiencies. And a lot of some of the newer technology that I'm seeing coming out is from companies that this isn't really new. It's just you're taking this, we know it works in this application, why didn't we put it with this? And now all of a sudden we have a better unit that's much more efficient in the overall operating range that they have. And so Oregon State and us are actually working with a company on something very similar to that. And obviously I can't talk about exactly what their product is without
it's above my pay grade. It's top secret.
Yeah,
locked in
sort
the
of
vault.
thing. And so there's that confidentiality, but this is exciting stuff actually, and I think Oregon's really taking a lead in the electric portion of that.
One of the problems with batteries has been the battery price. Is that coming down?
It's predicted to come down, and as we get battery technology is what's really limited for years, the electric vehicle. And so they used to have their own auto shows clear back in the late 1800s, I think they probably stopped somewhere in the early teens of the 1900s. And it was always, in 5 years, we're going to have the battery technology to do this. In 5 years. The way that energy is stored today, there's some great leaps that are changing how we know or what we think we've done over the years. They realize there's better ways of doing it. Nanotechnology, coating, that sort of thing. You're going to see all different types of materials. Material science is really what's pushing where we are today. And obviously we have a great company here in town that's going to be switching over to actually building more batteries from their research that they did, which was Energy 2.
Mm-hmm. In Albany or Lebanon or?
Energy 2 is in Albany.
Okay. I take you off track there. We were discussing...
Looking on down the line, yeah. So we talked about the light duty market as far as being more of the electric vehicles. When you start looking at the medium to the lower level of the heavy duty vehicles, I say propane is probably your best bet. For people that tow, so I've got a I've got a Suburban. I tow a couple trailers around, and so I have a Suburban, and I'm actually going to be retrofitting it over to propane. Obviously, one of the nice things about propane is you can get it at a lot more locations. Realize that what people think of going down and filling their 5-gallon barbecue bottle with is, we're talking a little bit different. The systems, when we start talking about motor fuel and transportation fuel, look more like a gas receptacle, if you will. Something that you're used to seeing hook up to your vehicle and pump fuel into it.
Must be some kind of collar that seals so you're not leaking gas.
Yeah, and they've got a limit to exactly how much can escape when you take it off, and there's really tight. You can barely tell with the new systems when it actually comes off. So you're going to see a lot more of propane, and the price differences. When I went to one of the conferences I attended down in Southern California, I talked with one of the fleet managers for the city down there, and everybody's talking CNG versus propane. He says there's no reason that we will ever switch over to CNG. And I asked him, why is that? And they've got a contract for $1.28 a gallon on propane. Propane tanks are cheaper. The kits are cheaper to go across from. It makes sense in certain instances. I can think of farming. It's easy. We can transport it. Propane a lot easier than we can transport compressed natural gas. And so location to where the lines are becomes obviously critical when a company starts making that determination. What's better for my vehicles? What should I start looking at? CNG, you could actually, I'm thinking the price point of CNG right now, last I looked, was about $3.50, $3.40s, $3.50s, which would make it about 40 cents per gasoline gallon equivalent. So when you talk about what the price of just the fuel is, that if you get delivered to the pipe to your house, I would say that it's probably about 50 cents, let's say a gallon. By that time, you've got to buy a compression unit. You've got electricity to obviously compress it over to put it in your vehicles. But for a business, you could probably do that on your own dime for maybe right around $1 a gallon. So having that ability, though, to do that, having the right gas line, the sizing, there's a lot of that comes into this.
It's that investment in the infrastructure is one of the challenges.
And you can
like a gallon gas. I haven't had that for a long time.
Right. Now you can put in probably 10 propane stations for the price of that one CNG, though. So economics, obviously, and how many miles, how often are you going to use it is going to be
it's a math problem to figure out what's best for you.
Let's take a quick break, and then we'll come back and finish up the conversation. This is Valley Talk. We're talking about the future of fuels. LBCC, Advanced Transportation Technology Center. Gary Price, Brian Schiedler in our studios. Back in a moment.
When you look out across the Willamette Valley, you'll see plenty of banking choices. Willamette Community Bank is here to give you an option that's pretty unique, like no other, in fact. Hi, this is Sue Kalina, Relationship Manager. Willamette Community Bank provides an alternative to large national and regional banks by offering customized financial services and local decision-making to benefit local people, local families, and local businesses. How many banks can say that?
Willamette Community Bank, service like no other. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Business owners and managers, the Lebanon Chamber Biz Expo is Tuesday, April 16th. Now is the time to order quality promotional gifts from Gateway Imprints. For a limited time, pay just $75 for a 2-color 3x5 banner, or just $40 for 500 glossy single-sided business cards, and save 10% on printing your brochures. For more ideas, check out gatewayimprints.com or look inside the big cream and blue llama building at the corner of Ash and Park Streets, Lebanon. Gateway Imprints, imprinting the seeds for success.
More than 130,000 young people in Oregon live with a mental illness. Left untreated, the consequences can be staggering. But treatment works. With treatment, more than 70% have significantly reduced symptoms and experience a higher quality of life. You can help change a life with Trillium Family Services. For more information, visit trilliumfamily.org. That's trilliumfamily.org. Trillium Family Services, building brighter futures with children and families.
Hey everybody, Rick Lamb here for The Horse Show. You know, horses serve as a counterweight to the complexities of modern life. They give us something fun to do, and they make us better people. These are things we talk about every week on The Horse Show. We give you practical advice and something deeper to think about. So join me, Rick Lamb, every week for The Horse Show.
Radio for the Mid-Valley horse lovers. The Horse Show with Rick Lamb, Sunday mornings on News Talk 1580, KGAL.
If you've ever wished the money you spent on everyday shopping made a difference in the community where you live, your wish has come true. Points for Profit is a unique program where local businesses like Complete Business Solutions, Elements Landscape Management, and Staples have joined to help local nonprofit organizations. It's easy. You, your family, your friends shop local with our sponsors, save your receipts, and then turn them into the participating nonprofit organizations. It really is easy to make a difference to nonprofit groups like Lebanon Pregnancy Alternative Center and Oregon Women for Ag, who compete to earn points by shopping at local business sponsors and then trade those points for real dollars at the end of the year. It couldn't be simpler for you to make a difference in your community. Points for Profit puts fun into fundraising. So enjoy shopping again, knowing it will make a difference in your community when you save receipts from businesses like Complete Business Solutions, Elements Landscape Management, and Staples. Call 541-791-2901 today or visit pointsforprofit.org for a current list of participating nonprofit organizations and the businesses in your community who support them.
Hear the truth and only the truth from your cultural crusader, Michael Medved, on News Talk 1580, KGAL.
This is Valley Talk. We continue to talk about advanced fuels of the future. LBCC Advanced Transportation Technology Center, Gary Price, Brian Schiedler in the studios today. We're talking to Brian about what's better in applications as far as propane, CNG. Let's continue with that.
Okay. So, like I mentioned earlier, that the propane systems, you're going to see them up to probably like your F550, 650 chassis trucks, so your lighter to medium duty trucks. When you start talking about the big diesel engines, it makes it a little bit more difficult to do with propane. You're going to start seeing the CNG come in there, and so most of your Class 8 trucks and Class 6, I think that's where CNG and LNG make the most sense, and they run. Both of those systems will run on compressed natural gas. The storage of LNG, obviously, then they allow it to become a gas before they actually inject it in most cases. So the systems are very similar. How they store the fuel is what makes the big difference in those. But they have trucks out now that go well over 800 miles on CNG, and those are being produced today. You can buy those. And you're going to start seeing that a lot more. And main difference is that they don't lack the power. You're still able to get the power that's needed to move the trucks down the road. I know that the new one they were waiting for is the new Cummins 12-liter that's now out. So you're going to see the Westport engine there is making a lot of people happy. That it kind of filled the niche. They had the big one, which was the 15-liter, but that 12 is what everybody's really talking about right now, and that's going to be a popular engine. And so
CNG, propane?
CNG.
CNG, okay.
So your Class 8 stuff, you're going to start seeing a lot more CNG.
CNG fueling station at LBCC. How soon are we to make that happen?
Yeah, we're very excited. We're going to have propane fueling capability and CNG fueling capability at the Advanced Transportation Technology Center. We expect our CNG station to be operational sometime this fall, about the same time that that the center opens for students. And that would be late September, October.
How conceivable is it to switch everything over to advanced fuels like this, CNG, electric propane? Conceivable? I know we're talking a large amount of money, but as we look at our dependence on overseas oil, it'd be nice to pull the plug on the Middle East as far as relying on them for fuel.
Yeah, I'm not even sure it's even really desirable. I think that the options is part of the benefit, and being able to analyze the drive cycle of your vehicle, the work cycle of your vehicles, and make the best choice for you. I mean, a good example is electrics are really efficient, but if everybody in the United States plugged in their electric vehicle at the same time, we'd deplete the grid, just like that. So, people may have different opinions, but we have a huge supply of CNG in particular.
Okay, we're running out of time here. When people want more information, where do they go to get it?
They call. they can call me or Brian. Really, I mean, if you want me to give a phone number, I'd be happy to do that. 541-259-5808.
And thank you for being with us on Valley Talk. Gary Price, Brian Schiedler, LBCC Advanced Transportation Technology Center. You'll be hearing more about it in the future. Have a good day.
The Mid-Valley home of Smart Talk. This is News Talk 1580 KGAL, Lebanon, Albany, Corvallis.